Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you again, Rasheed.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, and I was very, very keen. I know you're just about to jet off to Australia very soon for a whole new life, a whole new career. For people who don't know you, your first background was in nursing.
Correct, yep.
And you've worked in various leadership positions, chief executive, chair, all sorts of roles like that within the health and homelessness sector.
Yep.
I really wanted to talk to you a little bit about your life, your career, leadership, and I guess particularly leadership of the heart, because you're one of the people featured in this book, So I'm Trained at Putting My Heart Back into Your Business.
Book.
Thank you very much, that's kind of you to say. And you know, and about this thing about leadership from the heart, because lots of people have experienced bad leadership, haven't they? It's what makes lots of people leave their jobs,
yep.
leave their careers. We talk about it on a political level, we talk about it within the organisations we work, we talk about business and leadership. So I really wanted to get your thoughts on leadership overall. But I'm just trying to think, where should we begin? Should we begin with your story? Let's start off a little bit with your story. How did you? Well, I kind of want to jump a little bit. How did you first get involved in leadership? How did you decide that you wanted to lead?
No, it just happened naturally, and it happened at school.
Right.
And I became a leader at school.
Right.
And was responsible for the fun and welfare of 40 other students.
Right. In what context? What was the context? Were you kind of with the prefects and this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I was prefect and head of house, and I didn't really set out to achieve that, but it just felt the right thing to do. So it was not a conscious decision. It was just where I felt comfortable.
And did others recognise that you had those leadership qualities? Pippa, we should get Pippa to do this.
Well, I was certainly selected for the roles. I didn't just take on the roles. Yeah. So the school hopefully had recognised that I could lead and I could be fair and I could be fun and sort of take responsibility at quite a young age. Right. So that was my first experience of it.
Well, and I loved 16, that kind of age,
16,
isn't it?
17. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very, very, very young, really.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like an imposition or anything, it just felt right.
And then, of course, one of the things that happened in your career is that caring and nursing. Yeah. And this is an interesting other context, isn't it? Somebody who's caring and nurturing. Often we don't necessarily put the two things hand in hand.
It's very true.
How did the career in nursing happen, and what were you doing? How did that emerge?
Well, I sort of felt from a very young age that nursing was what I wanted to do.
Right.
And so I went for nursing, having done a degree, which was an opportunity I had because my father moved abroad and I was able to do a degree in Canada. So I took 3 years to really think about whether I wanted to be a nurse, and I was absolutely clear at the end of the 3 years that was what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I came back to England and did my training.
And how old were you when you decided to go to Canada? Because that's quite a big step, isn't it?
Yes, it was. I think I'm an adventurer by heart, by nature.
Yes.
And so the idea of being given an opportunity to study in Canada was something I had no hesitation about.
Right. And did you go up by yourself, or presumably early 20s?
No, I was 17.
Wow.
But my father was there.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so I lived with my father and my stepmother, and made the best of that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key theme I believe in pursuing your own dreams. It's about take the opportunities when they come.
Right.
If at 14 you had asked me would I go and live and work in Canada, I would have said, what?
Yeah.
But actually it was an opportunity that came to me in my life.
Right, and this is such an important thing, and I'm so glad that you picked that up, if opportunities come along, to grasp them, they feel right. And we were talking about this the other day, weren't we, this thing about knowing in your heart what you're about. So when you were studying, when you had done that, the nursing, and you came back to the UK, what was your thoughts then? What did you want to do with your career then? You wanted to be a nurse, you wanted to...
I wanted to be a nurse, full stop.
Right.
The leadership thing sort of wasn't evident at that point.
Right.
However, when I trained as a nurse, the more senior you got, the more you had to be a leader.
Right.
Because I was at a teaching hospital.
Right.
And you were responsible for teaching junior staff.
Right.
And so my leadership skills came back into play, even though I didn't really recognise it. And my patients and my staff were as important as each other.
Right.
Because if you're going to get something right for somebody, your staff have to be in the right frame of mind and feel supported and feel encouraged. And sort of help them take a few risks because they're learning, but it has to be a safe environment.
Yes.
In the same way that I would not imagine putting a patient at risk by giving the wrong level of care to that patient.
And I love the way that you said that they're both as important as each other. I don't think that I mean, it should be absolutely evident, but I think that very often in all sorts of environments we don't necessarily see that because we're just so focused on what it is that we're delivering, whatever, we don't realise that they both need to completely be honoured.
Yeah.
And then what happened, because I know what I did, for people who don't listen, hopefully we'll come onto it. I mean, some of the things that you've done in your career, there's a period of time where you're doing work with the Cabinet Office, that you've been chief executive for a number of charities, health, homelessness sector, and now you're going off for a big job in Australia. So when did things change? Of course, you talked about the more senior roles. When did you decide that actually I'm wanting to be somebody who shapes and influences things as well as just in that management?
I don't think I ever made that as a conscious decision.
Right.
I think what I did was I followed the opportunities that excited me most.
Right.
And each job that I took on, I wasn't totally prepared for.
Right.
So there's always been an element of making sure that I can learn and get the right support to deliver on what I know I have the capability of ultimately doing.
Right.
So I would say even this move to Australia is terrifying,
yes,
but equally it's so exciting because I think it brings together all my experiences, all my skills, but it's a new country. I don't know many people I'll be working with.
Yes. I've
got a big challenge to do something really important for them.
So tell us a little bit about this new role. Tell us a little bit about
Okay, well I'm delighted that I've been offered a job in the government of Western Australia to help them develop first and then deliver a 15-year strategy for their health system. And the reason I'm very excited about that is because it throws up lots of new challenges. They want to use my expertise and my experience and my strategic capabilities to shape a health system which works for the people of Western Australia. And I'm thrilled because that's where I feel my strengths are. Right,
and I think this is quite interesting. This might be a good moment to kind of pause, because I guess it's interesting that you're going off to Australia at a moment where there's there's a lot of focus. There has been for many years, and I guess constantly, but particularly pronounced right now about the health sector and I guess health and welfare and well-being in the UK. So I wonder if we might pick up on that when we kind of come back and talk then a little bit about, for you, what are the nuggets of the things that you've learned about leadership and your tips for people who perhaps are emerging leaders. And I know that one of the things I do know about your career, there have been moments where there have been ups and downs and challenges in terms of how does one, when you're knowing that you're wanting to affect a change, where's the bit where you have to go it alone and so on. So I'm keen for us to come back and perhaps explore some of those things.
Great.
Thank you.